This short tutorial is going to show you how to create a Google form. A Google form is a simple way to capture data from an audience or from a classroom, either as a formative assessment measure or possibly a summative assessment. To begin, the first thing that you'll need to do is create a Google account if you haven't already. Google accounts are free. The way you would go and find how to create a Google account is to search for Google account. The first thing that'll pop up is a list right here, and you can click on create a new Google account. You don't need to create a new Google account if you already use a service from Google like Gmail. If you use Gmail, you already have a Google account, which in my case, I already do. So what I'm going to do instead of creating another Google account is I'm going to log into my personal Gmail account. I've actually already done that. I'm going to come up and switch over to my Gmail account. To access and to create a Google form, you need to use a service called Google Drive. Google Drive is a online hard drive where you can store things like forms. You can also store online documents, things like that. To access Google Drive, the simplest way is if you're logged into something like Gmail, if you come to the very top and click on Drive. That's going to open a new tab or a new window, and I have quite a few documents and things already saved in my Google Drive account, and you can see all of those right here. If you've never used Google Drive before, you won't see much right here. But that doesn't matter. To create a Google form, you'll want to come over to the left-hand side and click on Create. Once you click on Create, you'll scroll down and choose Form. It'll take a second, but eventually it will open a new tab that'll prompt you through the initial steps. The first thing you'll want to do is put a title, and because this is a sample tutorial, I'm just going to call this Sample. Beneath Sample, you can choose your different themes which control the way it looks. I'm just going to do the default, and then I'm going to click OK. It then loads a new page where you're going to create that form that people will see when they visit your online form. So I'm going to call this Sample Form. Beneath the title, if I wanted to provide some instructions like answer the following questions to the best of your ability, you can provide directions right there. Beneath this top section is where you'll begin to add questions. And by default, they only put one question right here, but it's very easy to add additional questions. So my first question I'm going to ask, what is your name? If I wanted to provide some additional help text, like please include your first and last name, I could include that right there. Because I'm asking more of an open-ended question, I probably wouldn't want to do multiple choice. So if I click on this drop-down list, I would probably want to choose text, or if I was expecting a longer answer, I would choose paragraph text. But I think for this case, just text. It shows where they would enter their answer. If I want to make this a required question that people have to answer before they click submit, I would click this right here. And then I can click Done. So I've got my first question right here. If I wanted to add another question, I would click Add Item. This one, I'm going to make a question, what is your favorite color? I'm not going to include any help text. This time I'm going to do a multiple choice. And I'm going to do red, blue, other. If I want them to have an option to add something for other, I would click Add Other. So I'm going to delete my original other right there. And then I'm going to select Required Question and click Done. So now I've got my second question right here. I could continue going through this, experimenting with the different types of questions that could be asked, but for right now, for this basic tutorial, I'm going to stop right there. The next section shows what will be shown to users once they click Done or Submit. And I like all of this. I'm not going to go over this right now, but I'm going to click Send Form, and this will actually save everything. And so right now, right up here, it gives me the link. This is the link that I would use if I wanted to share this form for other people in a classroom, across the World Wide Web, wherever, if I wanted them to take it. That's the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to click Done. Finally, it shows where the information that's gathered from entering stuff on your form is going to be saved. And for the most part, you want to save it in a new spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet, by default, because I called it sample, will be renamed to sample responses. And I'm going to go ahead and say create. I'll show you how that looks in a second. So it looks like nothing's happened right here. But if I go back to my Google Drive, I now see my form that I created before, and if I wanted to edit my form, I would click on it. And now I can add items. And if I wanted to see the responses, and nobody's responded to my question yet, I can click here. Nobody's responded, so I don't see anything here yet. So if I go back to my sample here, and this is the form itself, and click View Live Form, this is what you would want to give as a link to somebody to be able to take this. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this just so I can show you the last thing. My favorite color is blue, so I'm going to click Submit. And it shows that confirmation page right there. If I now go back to my Drive account, which is where everything's saved, and I look at the responses, I should now see information in there. And you can see what is your name, Willie, gives me a timestamp in blue. If you want to quickly display information, like I did during the sample lesson, you go up to Form and then click Show Summary of Responses. And it'll say, what is your name? It'll show that only one person has selected blue, and it shows all those blues right there. It also gives you a tracking based on daily responses. And that's it.